When I first started probing the issue of police reform, I thought it would be just a couple tweaks regarding, self-respect, gentleness, but it just became clear that a much deeper issue was at hand, that of masculinity, where men didn't exactly really know what true masculinity was, and then they kept overcompensating with its brute force and violence and discourteousness toward the people who are paying them, the citizens. So within any institution, obviously, there's always a handful of good people. So we would never unacknowledge that the person listening to this, whose family member is a cop, probably, is a good cop. That's fine. This is for the overall demand from the world for police reform. So we'll go through reform in the different subsets of the department. So hiring reform, why it attracts criminals, tiptoeing in as if, oh yeah, I'm here to help serve. So stricter and heavier filters and boundaries in the hiring process. Dealing with the public, it seems like all of the public has the same response. They say that a cop was just like foaming at the mouth and just so upset. And again, kindly and calmly, we will talk the thrust of all this about masculinity. We will go through anger management because a person, for example, working at a startup or any company has an obligation to be kind and courteous to the people they're dealing with. And that's just not the same for if you're a cop. You're still going to have a job, whereas you would not in the field of sales. So we want to restore that respect. Mainly just in differentiating, talking to a community member versus you just come onto a crime scene and you have to be like very aggressive. Just differentiating. So with kindness and understanding, we really want to delve into this issue of masculinity because this is likely learned in childhood where we have this societal, past standard where we would, let women express and then tell guys, oh, don't, cry. And that just irritates them. And they bottle everything up and then they erupt on the job. So it becomes the responsibility of us as parents to really encourage emotional expression and how to resolve healthily. And if you're already an adult and have experienced that growing up, then it's your responsibility now, of course, to ameliorate that, either see a therapist or process all that pain. Because the unprocessed pain is what, all of that agitation and violence and force is from. You don't get, people who are calm doing that. You need skills of strength, of course, but that is so different than brute violence. So masculinity is obviously protection, it's a sense of protectiveness. So all of the agitation and blowing your top and all that type of stuff is just acting out and like anger. That has nothing to do with masculinity. Masculinity is when you're grounded, direct, calm, strong, you get it done. There's not extra agitation where you're blown up and you're all upset and spazzing out. No. That's unprocessed pain. But likely this is, filtering down from maybe like sergeant level. He's running the same template, unbeknownst. So the command for police reform in the world is like a symbolic representation of process your pain world, time to process. Particularly before you harness weaponry to your hip.